What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Two Knicks Chicks. Welcome back. I'm your girl, Lady and the Chef, joined by my co-host today.
Deeper 21. What's up?
How you doing today, Divalox?
I'm pumped, excited. There's a lot of emotions I'm excited for tomorrow's game, but yet yesterday's game, eh, it was hard to watch.
Yeah, the Knicks definitely played a very ugly game against the Memphis Grizzlies. Nonetheless, the Knicks did get the win, 106 to 94, but it was a very sloppy game against Memphis, who were out of all their five starters in that game. They are very limited to their players, as most of their players are suffering injuries. And I know they had another player that went down with an injury in the middle of the game, late in the game. But I think for me, even with Memphis having injuries, I wasn't expecting the Knicks to breeze by that game, right? Because no team is going to be easy. Every team is going to put up a fight and challenge. And I do give Memphis players credit for the way that they did play against the Knicks because they were crawling back. They were playing, scratching and crawling away with the game. So the Knicks never really necessarily were able to get a nice, comfortable lead against them, which is something that I always harp on is that the Knicks need to learn how to get a lead and maintain a lead. But yesterday was a game where the Knicks couldn't even do that because they were turning the ball over so much. How can you get a lead and maintain it when you can't even protect the ball? And I think Memphis scored like, I don't know if it was like off of turnovers, maybe like 14 or 22 points. I don't have the exact number, but it was somewhere along those lines, that the Knicks just did a horrible job. But nonetheless, like I said, the Knicks did get the win. They did have five guys who finished in double figures last night. Julius Randle played 36 minutes. He finished with a double double, had 11 rebounds, 24 points, five assists. OG Anunoby finished with 32 minutes, had 18 points, five rebounds. Isaiah Hartenstein played damn near the whole game. He played 42 minutes. He's another one, finished with a double double, had 20 rebounds, 12 points. And I know he did finish with some blocks and assists in that game too. He had two assists, but I think he did have like maybe three or four blocks in that game. Miles
Yeah.
McBride played 38 minutes, finished with 19 points, five assists, six rebounds. Dante DiVincenzo played 33 minutes, finished with 13 points, four assists, three rebounds. Josh Hart played 29 minutes. He had seven boards, 8 points, three assists. Quentin Grimes played 15 minutes, had another quiet game from him. He had two boards, 3 points. And Malachi Flynn was a nice touch off the bench. He had played 10 minutes, which wish I would have liked to see more minutes from him. Finished with 9 points. And Precious played six minutes, only had one rebound. Um, your thoughts on the game against Memphis?
Man, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. I'm not sure of what to make of this game. The Knicks had their starters, with the exception of Brunson. But when you factor the Knicks were playing short of Memphis G League players,
Yeah,
and they barely pulled out that win. Like you said, their starters were out, so the Knicks they barely won. So it kind of uh, makes you wonder. Well, in Jalen's absence in that one game, and he went down. Who's and knock on wood, if he was to suffer a serious injury, who's going to fill that role for him?
right.
Unlike Mitch, Iheart was able to step in, and fill that gap. Like I said, I would, if Mitch would have come back tomorrow, I would start Iheart over Mitch in a heartbeat.
Wow.
Um, without a blink of an eye. So it just makes you wonder. They scraped by, and because Jalen wasn't able to, run the show. Well, that's it says something about them, and just we're not pushing the panic button, but at the same time, like you edge by that win
Right,
with these G League players for the most part.
right.
And just the turnovers was like horrendous, 23-12. And like you mentioned, they scored off of those turnovers. So, it was just a sloppy, game over on. Thank goodness they etched out the win. They are 6-1, but still, it just makes you wonder, going forward, if Brunson, I'm hopefully he'll definitely be ready, and that's probably why they rested him so he can be, ready for tomorrow's game and going forward. Which it was a smart move on his part, and let's hope it's not a significant injury. And we don't know until look what they did with Mitch. You know, he was he's out for the season. So
Hmm.
let's just hope he didn't suffer anything major. They just said it's a calf injuries. I think he got kicked or something. But overall, it was just a sloppy game.
Yeah, Brunson suffered that injury in practice, and I agree with you. I hope that it's not nothing more serious, and that later on we're going to find out because clearly watching that game against Memphis, and I think if it was even against a team that's better than Memphis, a over 500 team, the Knicks would have still struggled. And this is why I've been saying for the longest now, and I keep saying it, the Knicks don't have solid backups to the positions that we have now. There's no solid backup to Randall's position and that power forward. You could kind of say there's a backup with Precious Achua for iHeart, but there's really no solid backup until you get Mitch back. There's no backup point guard because I like Deuce and I like what he's given us, right? And I thought that he did what he could starting. But and even with Malachi Flynn, I think the issue with him was that he had got in foul trouble. But I still thought that Tibbs should have played the guy more minutes so we could have saw what he could have done. But I think from what he did do in the game, I think that Tibbs and the coaching staff and the front office is gonna give Malachi a shot more and allow him to play more, even with Brunson being back in, right? But I just thought that um the Knicks, this proves that we don't have solid backups who can get the job done. Because even if you watch the offense, right, it was very stagnant, and it reminded me a little bit of when the Knicks were in the playoffs last year. Just looking at the offense, right? There was times where like it was here, you take the ball. Then the ball came back to Randall. Randall was passing it. I think the only thing I didn't really see too much of was Randall doing those like in the air passes when he was throwing it out to the corner to guys. He wasn't doing that as much, but there was times where I didn't feel like Randall. I wanted to see Randall take over. And
Yeah,
I didn't really see that energy from him. He wasn't bringing that type of energy in a game where he was taking over. He was really running into brick walls. He was going
you know
nowhere.
why? Because he was too busy trying to run the point. Like,
Yeah.
why are you running point if you got Deuce and Flynn? This was a game that I felt that Deuce should have definitely been able to run the show. Just switching off between him and Malachi. Yeah, Malachi, yeah, he was in foul trouble, but how was he going to learn? And I agree. Even Eddie said, Flynn should have got more playing time, and he should have. Like, let these guys learn. Why is Randall bringing up the ball? Are you gonna do? Are you gonna play the 1, 2, 3? What's your role? What's your position? Are you gonna do a power forward? You gonna be the center? What is your role? And this is a game where Deuce and Flinch definitely should have been able to, run the offense. And unfortunately, Tibbs didn't catch on or he didn't see it for whatever reason. But that's why he was doing that. He run the point. Like, sit down somewhere.
Yeah, I think Shaw Powers, salute Shaw Powers, he hit it on the head. He said Flynn may get some more minutes. He first have to get in Tibbs' trust bubble. And we know that Tibbs has to be able to trust guys in order to
Oh
be able
yeah.
to play them. I heard Sim talking about it in his recap game of the Memphis game, and he was basically saying the same thing where um, I know Silk Sutton had called in and he was like complaining about how, Grimes played too much and Malachi should have played more minutes, since we saw what he did in the first quarter of the game, in the first half of the game. But the problem is that Tibbs doesn't, if he doesn't trust you, he used to do the same thing with Quickly.
Yeah.
He's not going to, even though Quickly would have those breakout games against sometimes the really good teams, your Bostons or whoever. Quickly thought he was going to get more time and more, and no, Tibbs still had Quickly on the B squad, the C squad. So it was like when you get in, you get in. And I think that Tibbs is stuck in his ways, and it's like he has to be able to trust you in order to play you. And if Tibbs doesn't trust you, you're just not going to get in. I think Malachi got the minutes that he did because they had no other choice. Just like with Grimes, they had no other option or no choice. So Grimes has been getting the minutes, right? But I think that's the biggest thing is that Tibbs, if he doesn't trust you, he's not gonna give you that burn and that playing time. I just thought that the way the Knicks played without Brunson, it reminded me of how the Knicks were struggling before they got Brunson on the team. Randall used to bring the ball up. The offense wasn't really going anywhere. And when I watched that game, the Knicks looked so amateur hour. Like there was just no flow. The ball wasn't moving how it was the previous games that they were winning. Even when they lost the last game prior to that, like there was just because they had no one facilitating the ball, orchestrating the
Yeah.
offense. And when you don't have that director who can give you that flow, Randall can't do that. You know what I mean? And he has no business, I agree, even trying to run the point or handle the ball. It should have been Deuce or Malachi. Somebody should have been handling the ball and then feeding it to Randall. And they, either way, I think as a team, the Knicks have to learn how to still move that ball, and the offense needs to run fluid if Brunson is not there. You can't tell me that, okay, now we're going to freeze up and it's just, we do one or two passes and then someone shoots. And another thing I didn't like in that game, there was too much relying on the three. The Knicks didn't take the ball in enough. It was a lot of make one free throw, miss a free throw, which was another thing that I was just like, what is going on here? And the Knicks didn't really get to the free throw line a lot. It was a lot of ticky tack fouls that I saw guys were doing. The game kept stopping because there was so many little minute fouls. For what reason? So I just felt like the game was just very, very amateur hour, and guys were just silly fouls. There was no ball movement. The offense looked very stagnant. I didn't. Again, I was a little disappointed in that Randall didn't like take over that game. And again, we've only seen him do that one time where he took over. I can't remember what game, and that was in the fourth quarter of the game. But I would like to be able to see Randall take over games and show that you can handle it, because what I thought in that game was, is Randall going to be able to show up in the playoffs? God forbid Brunson gets hurt. And that was a horrible team you played against. So if you're playing against a better team, can Randall be able to step up and play and give do for the team what they need? And when superstars do that, and I'm not saying that Randall's a superstar, but as much as he don't want to be considered the first option, Randall, you're the second option.
Exactly. And you still have to produce because this was your moment and for you to, case in point, and we're not gonna harp on that Dallas game, but like our Kyrie, how he was able to take over. Yeah, he had Hardaway power, da, 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 but at the same time, like Randall should have been more aggressive
Right.
and attacking that basket. So and it just makes you wonder, can he, and we know he can with Brunson, but can you do it without Brunson? And
Without
but
them.
but and we seen them do it before, and so like they won by their by the skin of their
Skin of their
teeth.
teeth. Yeah.
Yeah, because Memphis even led at the half.
Hmm.
And a positive was that they beat them on the boards. I guess they learned from that previous game, So they won on the boards, and and just overall their size and their strength. But Memphis was matching them, for the most part, and until they took that lead, and Memphis, and they withstood Memphis, little run, but still it just makes you, wonder, well, what's gonna happen when we get to, March and so forth. So,
And
you know,
even if Jalen Brunson, okay, you have a healthy Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle in the playoffs. Again, watch, and I get that Memphis game was just one game. But the reason why I think most of us Knicks fans and in the community could raise concerns is that if y'all you can't go backwards, in other words. You've been playing great these past few games, and in that game, you took a full leap backwards. It was just like sloppy. It's one thing to be off, but it was like the basketball IQ went out the window, in other words, in the Memphis game. And that was my biggest issue with the game. I was just like, what are we doing here as a team collectively? And it just makes me wonder, like in the postseason, okay, you have a healthy Brunson, a healthy Randall. Can this team get over the hump in the playoffs? I feel like Brunson, I know he'll be able to step up. He's good at stepping up in those games, right? And when they matter. But I'm worried about Randall. Randall's been consistent so far this season, right? But Randall does that well throughout the season. But when the postseason comes, is he gonna show up? That's what I want to know. Is Randall gonna show up?
Paris Douglas said Randall started to get that goofy, unbridled, what was that? Unbridled look in his eyes, energy and effort. Yeah. Well, let's hope he get it together, because there's no time to, falter down. You're gonna definitely, need him down the stretch.
Yeah, I agree. The stats for the game, field goals, the Knicks were at 48%, Memphis was at 41. Three-pointers, the Knicks were at 34%, Memphis 23. Free throws, the Knicks were 13 for 19 at 68%. Memphis was 13 for 15 at 86%. Knicks finished with 56 total rebounds, Memphis 35. Offensive rebounds, the Knicks had 15, Memphis 9. Defensive rebounds, the Knicks finished with 41, Memphis 26. The assists were pretty close. Knicks finished with 25, Memphis 27. Knicks had 11 blocks, Memphis 5. Knicks finished with 11 steals, Memphis 14. And the turnovers was absolutely atrocious. The Knicks finished with 23 turnovers, Memphis 12. That's way too many. Points in the paint, the Knicks had 52, Memphis 50. So, the turnovers is one of the stats that really stands out to me, like you alluded to earlier. There's way too many in a game. I think the Knicks have to keep it to 10 or less. 22 is just way too many. You just clearly weren't protecting the ball at all, and that to me, that just can't happen. You can't allow
If Memphis was the better team, they would have capitalized more off those
exactly,
turnovers. So it
exactly.
just makes you wonder. You played a team like that, but had that been a 500 team and you still commit those turnovers, then this outcome, I highly doubt if they would have got a win. You
Yeah,
know,
I agree. Was there any player in particular for you that stood out in that game that for the Knicks that made you say, well, if this guy got the job done, or this is why we won?
well, definitely, iHeart and Deuce, but this iHeart, like I said, if Mitch would have come back, he would definitely, in my eyes, remain the starter. Just his play overall. He had 20 rebounds, and I was hoping he would like at least get 21 to 22, to match his season high. and just 10 rebounds. He had 2 steals and 4 blocks. And as an honorable mention, he's at the top of the league in rebounds at 103.
Mhm.
So he's number
Yeah.
he stands at number one. So he's averaging like 15 like point something rebounds per game. So uh you know, man, I heart he like us I'm gonna keep saying that he's going above and beyond. And it's just something that the front office definitely have to take notice. So you would hate to lose a guy like of his caliber, and then Deuce. Again, I would have definitely have loved to see him just play, run the show more.
Mhm.
But just for what he did, he had 19 points. So he had some what was it, 6 rebounds, so and 5 assists. But between those two, and the other guys, but just those two alone was just like really stood out for me.
Yeah. I also want to mention for Isaiah Hartenstein, he is number one in blocks in the league at 17,
Oh
and he's
yeah.
the top five player in stocks, which is steals and blocks. So he's number two on the list with six. So he's balling out of control. He's getting the job done. What you say?
No, no, no. I was just saying, yeah, yeah.
Oh, he's also the first player this season on the Knicks to score 10 plus points, 20 plus boards, 2 plus steals, 4 plus blocks in a game. I know that Memphis game did mark the 500 win for Tibbs. So it was an ugly win. So I'm sure he doesn't really care about that because who cares if it was that crappy? I mean, Tibbs looked like he had an attitude because of the mistakes that guys were making. You know how he crosses his arms and start cursing the camera every time they went to him. I just saw him. He looked so annoyed and disgusted by the way the team was playing, and rightfully so.
As he should.
Um, yeah, and Deuce, yeah, like you mentioned, that was a career high 19 points for him. I also thought that Dante DiVincenzo came in clutch in the third quarter, knocking down some key baskets for the Knicks that were much needed. But I just think that my biggest thing with the Knicks is that can this team go far without Jalen Brunson if he has to miss some more games? And I want to go back and ask you because you mentioned with Mitch, you don't think that when Mitch comes back, Tibbs is going to go back to starting Mitch and maybe giving him limited minutes, and then Isaiah Hartenstein comes in? You think Isaiah Hartenstein is going to continue to start?
Well, let's hope he do. I feel Mitch should come off the bench. And he could be that spark,
Mhm.
So I hope, he continues with iHeart. Not that he didn't take his job, he's just playing better and he's doing what Mitch didn't do. I mean, and I like Mitch's game. Just again, just what he does for us defensively and offensively, but iHeart is doing that and more.
Yeah,
So, he not that he had to prove himself, but he's an asset, to the team. He's not a liability like you have some guys on the bench. Case in point, the bench was outscored in this game. Yeah, granted it was 32 to 20, but still they were outscored. So Mitch, maybe he needs to come off that bench and give that spark, you know?
yeah. I think I agree with you. I think salute to die for. He said I like Mitch, but rather Ihar start versus Mitch due to better spacing and passing. And that's exactly it. I think that Mitch, he can clog up the paint, and Mitch can't pass the way Isaiah passes. He can't facilitate the ball the way Isaiah Hartenstein facilitates the ball. And the problem with Mitch that can hurt us is that if teams want to do hack a Mitch, that can hurt the Knicks at the end of the night. Versus Isaiah Hartenstein, he can actually get to the free throw line and knock down the free throws. Whereas Mitch, he can't do that. But somehow I think that also I don't know, I've noticed the shift in the offense with Isaiah Hartenstein where the ball seems to move and flow better. There's no like crowdedness in the paint. the ball is flowing around, which is nice to see, and you don't just see the ball just staying in one spot or moving at the same one side of the court, that one corner to maybe the top of the key, then back down to the corner. It seems to be flowing around, and guys are getting there, being able to get touches, and the shots are not rushed. Whereas before you would see the Knicks do like one, two passes and then someone would chuck up a shot. And they kind of were doing that yesterday too, which I was like, why are the Knicks just not playing their style of game? I felt like the game, they just didn't even play, you know, the right kind of basketball to me. So, I don't know. I think that iHeart should be starting to me, and not just because of what he's done. I just think that the offense flows better with him in the lineup, and I think Mitch should be able to come off the bench because they are going to need Mitch, especially when you hit to get down to the playoff season. So
Yeah, Shot Powers. I'm just glad Randall put himself on blast. Yeah, and rightfully so. So you know what you need to do and get better. He even admitted, and sometimes he has a tendency where he don't want to answer those hard questions, but he took accountability for it as
yeah,
as he should.
yeah. I salute Coach SAR 617. He said Knicks are going to have to see Randall is not the player Brunson needs. The problem is I don't think the Knicks are looking to move Randall. They would have to be getting someone to the caliber of like a, just using as an example, a Booker, a KD. They would have to be getting someone that good in order for them to really depart ways with Randall. I don't see the Knicks looking to get rid of Randall. I
But you
think
know what? This league is finicky. You never know.
this is
If
true.
someone becomes available with those first round picks, and as I talked to you before, how, and again, you don't know how, we don't know the ins and out of the, how the front office and things work. But remember I mentioned about how who's, you know under what management, how CAA is, the, what's the name, son, and certain players are under CAA and certain players is with Clutch. Randall switch. He was under CAA.
Hmm.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't know the ins and outs. When it comes down to things like that, it matters. They don't. They're not going to come out and blatantly say it, but if a certain play becomes available along with some draft picks, you never know. They could switch up, hit a button, and next, you see how we was all stunned by Quick
Quickly
and
and
and um
Barrett.
and Barrett. So it's a shock factor, and that's what it's meant to do. I don't know.
Yeah, and I know you always speak about like, the money talks and players wanting specific contracts, and that's why they hire certain agents to get them what they want. So you're absolutely right on that. That's more than possible that, you know, somehow the Knicks can make a move and bring in somebody great to replace Randall. Do you think that keeping Randall holds the Knicks back from taking that next step in as a team?
I mean, yes and no, but are there, better elite players? Yeah, but as it stands, who's available?
But if
What
there
about
was superstars available, right? And the Knicks could go and shop around for that better star. We're not going to name anyone specifically, but if there's superstars available in the market, hypothetically, is keeping Randall hurting the Knicks from moving to that next level? Or should the Knicks shop around and go after a better superstar who's more consistent? And not to say Randall, he can show consistency, but he has still those up and down times where you don't know with him. And I don't even just think it's that. I think, again, is Randall hurting them from getting to that next level, or do we need a better player who's going to play better with Brunson who can bring the team to the next level and get us to the Eastern Conference Finals and the finals, or just keeping Randall hurt the Knicks, and the Knicks are just going to keep being that first, second round team. Can the Knicks go further with keeping Randall? And do they need another piece rather? Or should the Knicks look to shop around and get rid of him and bring in somebody who's going to work better with Brunson and get us to that next level?
Both. They should get rid of, and I like Randall. He's elevated his game this year, definitely this season. But if a superstar becomes, and not so much as a superstar, just somewhat, like I said, if you swapping out, yeah. And also they are missing a key piece. So that's a two-part question. I would definitely look to move him. Um, and so we can get over that to that next, phase, hump, or whatever you want to call it. And of course, they are missing another key piece. Again, we don't need a superstar. I get, not with, I'm not talking about with Randall, but just that key piece, somebody with talent who can, help alleviate some of that pressure off of Brunson. But yes, I would definitely, look into moving Randall. Um, and then also adding that key piece, talent wise.
Yeah. Yeah, I would keep my options open as an organization. I would definitely look to getting rid of Randall. She said trade him back to New Orleans and Skechers. Yeah, I definitely would look to
Yeah.
because I feel like at where the Knicks are now, right? It seems like the Knicks are trying to find their identity and who they are as a team and where they're trying to go as a team, right? So we know that the Knicks still have a phase two of trades that's going to happen in the works. They still got to get rid of Fournier, and you have another option where you can possibly use Grimes as some, bait tactic or leverage rather, or you maybe precious. You may want to get you got some options there that you can utilize. Excuse me, but I think that the Knicks need to look into shopping around because you know how we used to always say before the RJ Barrett and quickly trade, like anyone could go. And to me, we used to say Brunson and Randall, if you're naming Brunson and Randall, you're not on the chopping block, which they aren't. But to me, I feel like minus Brunson, anybody else could go. And I think that the Knicks should look into if you have the opportunity to grab somebody who's really clutch and solid, I would go after him and trade off Randall, because my thing with Randall is does Randall get the Knicks team to that next level? You know what I mean? Like, can we get to, and I'm not just putting it all on Randall, but Randall's considered that second option. You that guy who's been giving us 25 to 40 points a night. But 25 to 40 points and 8, 10 rebounds is great. But one, are we getting a W? And two, is that leading to a better record? And three, is that going to get us over the hump to become a better, more elite team in the league? So I don't see with what we have now. And Randall's been with the team for quite a few years now.
Yeah,
But
5.
then,
Yeah.
right. And the Knicks, no, he hasn't been inconsistent like RJ Barrett, where RJ Barrett's game didn't take the leap to the next level. But I feel like with Randall, the team hasn't really taken that leap, that next notch up as a team. The Knicks are still considered okay and mediocre as a team. So at what point do we, as the front office, do you say, okay, we got to work on bringing in maybe this guy who's going to bring our team to the next level? Right now, the Knicks are just considered that first or second round playoff team. And if you're trying to be true contenders, as we want them to be, as the Knicks fan organization and community, we want them to be, right now, I think the Knicks can compete, but I don't think that they're to that next level yet with who we have. And I think part of that is sometimes it makes me wonder if the Knicks brought in a better player, right? And they just swapped out Randall, for example, and you got a better player to play in with Brunson, and you still kept guys like McBride, and you still need, like you said, another one or two key pieces, right? I think the Knicks can be a better team. I think the Knicks can be a better team because you look at other teams, they have those two to three guys who are really good. And then they have those other players who can step in and be contributing factors to the game and produce for you on a night in, night out basis. And the Knicks don't really have that. You know, you have Randall and Brunson, yeah, but Randall and Brunson right now, we're still at the same level playing field. The Knicks haven't taken that next step over, and we're still at that same level, you know, a first or second round playoff team. You know, it's kind of like how, like Philly, they've made the playoffs the past 4 or 5 years in a row, but they don't go that far in the playoffs. And I feel like the Knicks right now are at that level where they need to be known as a team to make the playoffs every year, right? Not just 1 or 2 years you make it, then you go 5 years and not make the playoffs for a while. But they need to be known as a team who is a playoff bound team, but you have to grow each year. You can't, like, even this year, to me, if the Knicks don't go past the second round, that would be disappointing. I'm expecting them to go further than the second round. I think for me, just the first round or the second round is just not good enough because you've proven that you can go past those first two rounds. So I it just makes me wonder, like, if the Knicks were to trade Randall for a better player in the league, a superstar or someone who's just their game is just there. You know, we don't got to worry about these off and on nights. I think the Knicks can truly go to the next level if you ask me. I truly feel that way.
For sure.
Salute Big Chino. He said Randall's a poor defender that no has no shame. He just doing cardio up there, a whole statue. Yeah, that's the problem with all of the Knicks players though. A lot of guys don't guard that perimeter. Salute Parish Duggar. He said losing Randall makes us worse, but gives us a better chance in building. But maybe it won't make them worse. Maybe that other guy will be just as great scoring wise every night on a nightly basis, like Randall. And then in the playoffs, he steps up when you need him most, you know, and he can be consistent in the playoffs and get us over that hump, or even just during the regular season when it's those tight games and you need a basket at the end of the game. We could have a player who could make that right play, not even necessarily just making the last second shot, but can make that right play, that right pass, that rebound that's needed, that steal that's needed. That's the kind of player that we need. We need somebody who's going to be a walking bucket but can make the right plays at the end of games. You know, I always use like Jason Tatum as an example because he could be quiet the whole game. And I've seen where he has games where the first 3 quarters he ain't do nothing. And then in the fourth quarter, they put that ball in his hand and he go to work. You know, he's going to drop 23, 25 points or the end of the third and then the whole fourth. He's going to go off and help get them that win because he's clutch. But I don't see Randall. I've seen him do that once so far this season in the fourth quarter of a game where Randall took over that last 4 or 5 minutes of a game and we
Yeah.
won that game. But I don't see that from Randall enough where he shows that leadership role of like, let me take over this game. You see Brunson do it plenty of nights. He has no problem taking over that game because he want to get that win. And I just don't see that hunger from Randall to say, well, let me take over. I will commend Randall, say I don't see him complaining as much to the refs. And I think the New York Post just did an article on Randall on how he stopped complaining so much to the refs so much, which was, I'm not gonna lie, it was annoying seeing Randall. He was complaining to the refs all the time, and you know, I think there's an echo. I don't know if you touch something. There's an echo on my end. But he was complaining so much to the refs that he was stopping himself from playing defense. You would see him in the middle of a game just sit there and have a whole 2 minute conversation with a ref, and I'm like, it's not even a timeout. Why are you doing that? So I'm happy he's not doing the complaints to the refs in the middle of games as much as he was. He seems to work on that and not getting so angry and upset over every little call. But yeah, I just think that, I don't think that necessarily it's going to make the team worse. I think that they can still elevate and get better if you get rid of Randall, hypothetically. So King Ribby salute. He said, "Nah, Deuce not it as far as playoffs. We need another backup 1, 4, or 5." Yeah, I agree. Now
Yeah,
Deuce makes me eat my words, and if that's the case, please. I like for players to make me be like, "Oh, let me shut up," because he outperformed. But and I keep saying this in the chat, you guys know this. The playoffs is a different playing field. The playoffs is called turn up time. And can a player like Deuce McBride, can Grimes, are they going to be able to help hold it down and be a backup to Brunson and Randall? I mean, do you see that happening? Do you see those guys being able to step up in the
yeah.
playoffs?
Nah, not Deuce or even Malachi. Absolutely not.
Big Chino said we haven't proven we can get past second round. So what are we talking about? But that's the point that I'm making. The Knicks don't have the pieces in place right now to prove that with Randall is what I was getting at, Big Chino, is that again, and I'm not putting it all on him, but I am gonna highly put it on him. He's been with the team 5 years now. He's considered the second option with the Knicks, even though Randall doesn't want to be considered the first, second option. He would rather be the third option of the team, and he said this on the podcast and other podcasts, which I still haven't watched that full interview he did with Malika. Talking of, I don't remember what exactly she asked him, but what I was getting at was, should the Knicks look to getting rid of Randall? Because right now with Randall and Brunson, this team is only considered a first or second round playoff team. They're just a mediocre team. The Knicks have to do something and get the right players, not just a superstar, but the right players, because we still missing two other key pieces, maybe three. But I think that the Knicks need to make that move to get the right players intact on the team, because right now the Knicks are just a first or second round playoff team. And with Randall's tenure with the Knicks, they haven't taken that next step forward. We just are still at that same level playing field of mediocreness. So I haven't seen the Knicks take a leap. I mean, right now the Knicks are just, and my thing is, if the Knicks don't get past the second round this season, it would be, somewhat of a disappointment to me. I think to a lot of fans. Paris said, "Oh, Coach SAR 617 said, no, we need a bigger name." Yeah, I wanted to put up that. Oh, here it is. He said, "I actually think getting a coach to kick Randall's butt, he would be able to what he should be." I don't know. You think the
Yeah,
coach would make a difference?
yeah, for sure. Of course, players respond to coaches in different ways. Now, who would that coach be? That's up for for debate. But like I always say, Tibbs is a player's guy. Like even in the earlier comment, they said, "Oh, Tibbs has to trust Malachi. It's a trust factor." And sometimes and sometimes Tibbs has, and I'm quite sure it's probably like that with all the coaches, their favorite players, and and the players is more so running the show, than the coach. Um, Randall do needs somebody to get up in his tail and and challenge him to be better and to play better. Because like you 6'8", you should be like more dominant than what you are. Um, and be able to take over in Jalen's and Brunson's absence.
Yeah.
Kyrie just proved that the day before.
Yeah.
Not yeah, they're two different players, but still, yeah. I believe that.
Yeah, but that I think that's the problem too with the Knicks. Like going back to that Dallas game, that's another game to me that I before the Knicks played them, I didn't look at it as an easy win because Luca was out. Because one of the key guys I mentioned was Kyrie, right? But the Knicks got to be able to. This is what I'm saying. Like when you get to the, if you can't do it in the regular season, what makes you think you're going to do it in the postseason? They couldn't even hold Kyrie. He dropped 43 points. And I said this guy is known to salsa dance across the court, and no one was able to hold him. He just went off and did whatever he wanted to do. And I think there's a lot of things that the Knicks have to work on as a team. You know, the Memphis game, the Knicks didn't play as a team. The games that we were successful at and winning, we won because the Knicks played like a team and there wasn't individual play from just Randall or Brunson. It was
Yeah,
actually team play, and that's why the Knicks have been successful at winning the games they have been winning. But I think the problem is that when you have teams where you allow one guy to go off and drop 40 plus points, where's the defense? You can't tell me defense is out of the window in the league these days because if it is, then it's not called the game of basketball. And I just think that the Knicks, sometimes they lose sight of that.
yeah,
And
and
I don't know, maybe that can be true. Like maybe if you had a Spolstra coaching Randall, Randall would be better guided and play a lot better, and he would be pushed to his limit of giving everything he has, and he would be a better player on a team, on a Knicks organization. So to some degree, yes, Parrish, maybe he's right. Maybe it can be is Tibbs that's also the issue because he's not going in. I think before I was saying to you, I think if like Mike Woodson was the coach, he would be on Randall because Woody don't play. I loved him when he was the Knicks coach. Like he would curse guys out on the sideline in a heartbeat. As they would come into the bench, he would let them give him an earful, because it's like, what are you doing out there? That's not what I asked you to do. So, to some degree, I think that, he could be right with that.
coach, coach, who's that? Sahar says Murray. Let's hope Murray's still on the table. They were trying to get Murray back when they had IQ and they wanted, the Hawks wanted some first round picks. So now that IQ's off the table, let's see who they offer up, you know? I mean, they still have a lot of first round draft picks, but at the time they wanted IQ. He's no longer available. So now, who are we gonna throw in? Fournier and Grimes and some first round picks? Uh, I don't know.
Is he worth that though? Is he worth Fournier, Grimes, and some picks? Murray?
Yeah, yeah, I would without batting an eye, for sure. Yeah. It depends how many first round picks they want, but they got quite a few to play around with.
Hmm.
So let's see. Yeah, Brunson will leave. Yeah, it becomes frustrating if you don't surround, your star player, with somebody that's gonna get you to that next level in that next round. Yeah, it does become frustrating. Yeah, and he possibly.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in that. I think Brunson will get frustrated after a while and he's going to want out because, you know, he's not used to playing on mediocre teams who just makes the first or second round. He's used to going to the championship round. And that's what he does as a player. He wins. So I think that the Knicks, of course, they have to step it up as the front office and bring in the players that they need to bring in. You can't just, think that this is not it. This is not okay. Um, he said it was almost like Tibbs didn't want Malachi Flynn to show he deserves to play because he was looking very competent at the point guard. Yeah, I think a part of it is the trust factor. Tibbs doesn't trust him yet. Malachi just came over to the Knicks. Tibbs is like, yeah, I see what you could do, but he'll rather play. And that's where I don't like Tibbs as a coach. Prime case in point against Memphis. Why was he still playing Grimes when Grimes wasn't doing Jack Diddley for us? When he should have played Malachi Flynn more minutes. But because Tibbs trusts Grimes, he rather kept Grimes playing in that game than bring Malachi in. I don't understand that with Tibbs. It's the decision making for me with Tibbs sometimes is very questionable.
Yeah, yep.
I just didn't I didn't understand that. He said Donovan Mitchell is the alpha dog we need to push Randall to third option. Julius would not respect a lesser name like Murray. I think that, but see, then that makes me question Julius as a player. You shouldn't be not respecting a guy because he's not at a certain status in the league when the goal is to win. You know what
But
I mean? If Murray
but
comes and is performing, you mean to tell me he's not going to have respect for Murray because he's a lesser name when Murray could be contributing and playing his role well and doing what he needs to do? And if Randall has this jealousy, because if you ask me, remember I said this to you, I used to say, like, I thought Randall was a little jealous of Brunson when he first got to the Knicks. I
yeah,
thought Randall, to me, it came off like that. Like Randall seemed a little like, oh, like who's this guy coming in here scoring all of these points, carrying the team, and because he now Randall came out on the podcast and said he didn't want to be the first or second option. He don't like the spotlight. But the way he was playing, this was way before the playoffs. He was playing like he was jealous that Brunson was out there shining and grinding. But Brunson, meanwhile, was just trying to get the team wins and trying to take the team to the next.
exactly.
So if Randall does that, then I'm questioning you. You know, when guys come in, and I understand it happens on teams, you may look at it, but that's why it's called a team sport. It's not called the New York Randalls.
And for you, and as an athlete, you got to put that ego to the side and have a common goal. And that common goal is to get to that championship. So, you know, if he can't respect Murray, then that's on him. You know, and he and certainly, well, what makes you think he's gonna respect Mitchell? Because if Mitchell's taking his shine, they then, that mean the problem is within him, not the player who's on that floor, trying to get to that championship.
Exactly. Exactly. So I just think that, yeah, whoever the Knicks bring in the next phase of the trade moves, there can't be no any room for jealousy. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to win. All of that jealousy, that energy you put in towards being jealous and hating, you could be focusing on winning.
I hope that trade and IQ didn't mess up our chances of getting D Murray. I hope so too.
But the Lakers are interested in him too, and Murray.
Yeah, they
They're,
don't
they're
need to stay.
definitely
Yeah.
eyeing out. I also saw an article where teams are eyeing Mitchell Robinson coming back.
Oh wow. Yeah, they probably
Yeah,
are.
they're trying to like watch out for that. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the whole Murray trade. So for you, let me ask you, with the Murray trade, does that take off trying to get DeMar DeRozan possibly? Because I still think that he would be a good fit for the team. I'm not saying I would take him over Murray, but if the Knicks can't get him, what are their other options?
Well, there's a few guys that they can possibly go after: DeRozan, Brogdon, um, Murray, Jordan Clarkson's name came up. So I mean, they have options. They just have to see which player will suit, you know, the offense, best for the Knicks. And also somebody can play some defense. And that's gonna get you over, that hump. So, they have options, just a matter of, they just gotta just play smart and not sit on their thumbs, when it's
Yeah.
time to snatch up a player. You know what we in like this is what the middle of we're going on the 15th. So in hindsight, you got like what 3 weeks. So let's just hope that they move swiftly because there's quite a few teams that are eyeing Murray, not just the Knicks.
Hmm.
So but there's also a lot of other guys that can help as well as Murray.
Yeah, agreed. Parrish said, I would see if Detroit would do Randall and pieces for Cade Cunningham and a Bogdanovich or Stewart. Yeah, Cade would be a great fit for the Knicks. I think him and Randall would play really well together.
Yeah, even Bogdanovich, but
Yeah.
play teams always say, "Oh, what a player's not moving, he's off the table." With some picks, some swaps, you never know.
Right. Anything is possible. I agree with that. I agree. So the Knicks do play tomorrow. Knicks typically play at on MLK Day. They will get their second game in the series against Orlando this season. The Knicks did drop that first game against Orlando. Didn't seem like we can hold anyone on the team. Um, and I remember when we did the pregame again before the Orlando game, and we were talking about how they're a young team. They like to run. You have to be able to hold and contain those guys, and the Knicks couldn't do that against Orlando. So I think that with this second matchup against them, I would like to see the Knicks be able to capitalize and take the win. But it's going to definitely start with the defense. The Knicks cannot afford to come out on the game, start the game flat. They have to come out with high energy, have a high energy third quarter to start off with. But any takeaways or keys for you for that game? It's an
Well,
early game, by the way. It's a 3 p.m. game.
Atlanta, they did. I think they dropped their last game. Um, you know, they know what they're in store for. They're another team. Again, they're young. You know, athletic. They're quick. They just gotta Knicks gotta match that energy and definitely your turnovers. It's like, hey, man, oh man. I mean, 2023, you like what? That's
It's
you can't
just
even wrap your head around
yeah,
23 turnovers. They just got to just play smarter and be the aggressor, you know. So I'm just like this is a game that they can definitely take. And let's hope Brunson is back. I sure hope he is. I haven't seen any reports on him
yeah,
thus
same.
far. So
Yeah,
they just have
Orlando has lost their last three.
yeah.
I know you mentioned that they just lost. They've lost their last three games now in a row. So they're going to be looking to get a win. And because they know they've defeated the Knicks already, they're going to look to try to capitalize and get a win finally against the Knicks. The Knicks will be playing home. So 12 of the next Knicks 14 games will be at home. Um, so the Knicks need to capitalize and you're not going to have to travel for a while. I would say they should look into capitalize on winning. And for the longest, the Magic was sitting at the fourth seed in the East. They're now sitting in the eighth. They're 21 and 18. So
Yeah.
because they lost three, they dropped in the Eastern Conference standings. So again, the fourth to eighth seed standings in the Eastern Conference has still been shaken up because the win losses are very close.
They were
Uh,
knocked back down to reality.
yeah, yeah, because
Seriously.
people were shocked that they were like, "Oh, wait, Orlando's actually winning." So this I said anything could happen and the standings could shake up. Right now, the Knicks are sitting at 23 and 16, but it's still very close because Cleveland, the Cavs are now in fourth, Pacers are in fifth, which they climbed up because at one point they was in like 10th or 11th. The Knicks in sixth, Miami's in seventh, and Orlando's in eighth. And now we're at that midway point of the season. I think someone has said Hartenstein's not going to get a break until the All Star weekend. So I guess the engine has to keep rolling, And right now, I don't blame Tibbs for playing Hartenstein a lot of minutes. I think because what other option does he have? Who else do you put in?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Who's going to do what he's doing as far as he's been consistent with the blocks, he's consistent with the rebounds, he's also giving you the points and then the steals. So his hands are very active. So I think with Hartenstein, like you alluded to earlier, he gives you a little bit more of the intangibles than what Mitchell Robinson does. But I really think that the Knicks need to really be aggressive against Orlando, being that, again, like I said, they lost their last three. So I would like to see the Knicks be able to take that game against them, and be able to beat them. You got to hold Paolo Banchero, Wagner, who else? Mikal Fultz. Who else went off on us last time? I don't remember if it was Black or Cole Anthony.
Cole Anthony.
Yeah,
Both of them, really.
yeah. So, the Knicks they gotta hold these guys. I don't want to see them going off and doing whatever they want to do, coming to the Garden. And another thing too is that the Knicks, I don't want to see teams come into the Garden with all these home games and the Knicks allowing players to drop 50, career high 60 points. I don't want to see the Knicks allowing teams to do that. I think it's imperative that the defense is there on the perimeter. Guys are helping and step in to grab those boards when we need it. Don't just rely on both Randall and Hartenstein to grab boards. Limit the turnovers. Watch the passes that you're throwing. I don't want to see Josh Hart throwing a circus Harlem Globetrotter pass into the 300 section at the Garden. Just protect the ball. I want to see guys run, get back to that style of what they were doing when they went on that 5-game win streak. That's what I want to see the Knicks get back to, that team ball, the ball movement, the offense not being stagnant and guys moving without the ball. I want to see guys get back to cutting too. So when Hartenstein gets the ball at the top of the key, he can dish the ball. And I think Hartenstein needs to watch out for those passes too, because I know when we played against Memphis, there was one pass he went to go throw, and it was so telegraphed. I was like, why would you
Oh
make
yeah.
that bounce pass? Like whoever it was on Memphis was just able to grab it because he telegraphed the pass that I was just like, you can't do that, because teams are going to start reading that. They know, okay, Hartenstein, they watch film just like you guys watch film. So they're going to look and be like, nah, Hartenstein is going to get the ball by the free throw line. He likes to throw that bounce pass. So I think he has to be mindful of which kind of passes he's making, or if not, try to be a little bit more crafty with the passes. We don't need nothing overly fancy, but you have to watch the passes that you're making. But I want to see guys cutting, your Deuce McBrides, your Grimes, DiVincenzo cutting without the basket, to the ball without to the basket without the ball. So we'll see. Um, Salute Ajay.
Salute.
Paris said we just need better in-game situational coaching. I agree. Sometimes I question the plays with the Knicks.
Well, it's a coach's thing. You got to question Tibbs. Tibbs is
Yeah.
so regimental. It's like he dared to go outside the box.
Parrish is on the same boat as you with Sims. Because this how you feel about Sims. He said last year Sims played well. Get Sims going. Let him play through mistakes to get through his game going. That's what you've been saying, Divola.
Yeah. I mean, he's sitting on that bench and just rotting away.
But why do
Simply,
you think Tibbs is not playing him?
again, like the someone in the chat earlier about a trust factor, but and it's Tibbs, he got to get more reps so you can trust in him and see what he can do. You say what a player can do in practice. I mean, that's why they gave Deuce that partly why they gave Deuce what that contract because of what he was doing in practice, and they saw what he can do. Well, what is Sims doing? You know, he's not exactly a water boy. He has to be doing something in practice.
But I think, see, with Deuce, I think Deuce gives you a little bit more than Sims.
Oh, definitely,
You
yeah.
can
But
see what he
as
can do. And I kind of agree with what Ajay was just saying to reply to that. He said the G League is where players try out and learn through mistakes, which that's where I come from with that. I agree. I do hear what, Diva Lots and Parrish is saying, where they're both on the um same place with as far as Sims going in, or just guys, period, should be able to get in, get the playing time. But I don't know. I just feel like I think also the problem is because a lot of times with the Knicks games, the games are so close that Tibbs is not comfortable if the Knicks don't have a big enough lead to put in guys like Sims. That's why even before McBride got signed, he was only getting sometimes 5 minutes in a game because Tibbs was like, we don't have a big enough lead. I'm not comfortable putting you in for, 6, 7, 8 minutes for us to get back down. Then I got to put Randall and Brunson to try to fight us back through it because they don't really have a solid bench or guys who can get you back in it. So I think that's part of the reason why.
yeah, yeah, I mean it is, but and yeah, even Paris Douglas said Tibbs isn't playing Sims because threw him to oh he threw him to the wolves and started him. Yeah, like in the beginning of the season, it could be that, but again, like he how was it, he's gonna learn, and he 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 gets garbage time now. He's putting in pressures, and maybe it's the experience of the league play, but he's putting in pressures all over Sims. So
But are
just
you surprised by that? Because I'm not surprised by that. Like, I'm not surprised that Precious is getting more playing. And not because he came over as a trade. I just think it's like what you were just saying. I think it's the experience. Tibbs probably trusts putting Precious in more over Sims. I think
yeah,
that's
that's
what it
true.
is.
And that's what someone in the chat alluded to is he has to earn, the trust factor has to be there, but I don't know. I just think that, he can just play just a little bit more.
Agreed 100% to die for. You can tell by Tibbs' body language that he be nervous when certain players be out there performing. Yeah, he is. He's not relaxed. The Knicks could be up by 15, 20 points with 5 minutes left. Tibbs is not relaxed because he doesn't trust those guys. And that's the big thing is the trust. Tibbs goes by trust. If he's not a risk taker like some coaches may be like, well, let me try this guy out. And he Tibbs like that same 8 to 9 man rotation.
That's what I was going to say.
He don't he it's like he doesn't he's stuck in his ways. And if he doesn't trust you, Tibbs is not going to play you, unfortunately. He and if he does play you, a lot of times again when the Knicks are up by a decent amount in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth, Tibbs will sit the starters down or sit up most of them down and play those guys, but he doesn't look comfortable. He's looking like, he made, like you teaching a kid how to ride a bicycle, and he's like, oh, they made, you on edge because you like they got it, but you're still not sure yet. And I just think that that's the with Tibbs, that's just how it is. It's a trust factor with him, and if he doesn't trust guys, he's not really giving you any burn, unfortunately. So I think Sims is over since everything.
And I got a question for you. As this was an article I'm gonna pose to you.
Mm-hmm. What happened?
No, no, read that comment. I can,
Oh, Paris said Ajay Sims was over 500 as a starter in 12 games last year. He was better than iHeart, actually. You're looking for laughs to me.
yeah, but I think iHeart is doing a phenomenal job. I don't think that Sims could do what iHeart could do, quite frankly. Um,
Agreed.
maybe he's not getting enough reps, but me personally, I would definitely to start iHeart and you know and see how far I can go. But he is playing a lot of minutes though, and it just makes you wonder, when it comes down the stretch, will he be at that 100% capacity? So I think he's playing him a lot, and he needs to dial back on those minutes. But just and even when Sim started, in the first few games before he tweaked his ankle, he wasn't playing as great as iHeart.
That's what
So,
I was going to say.
I'm all for Sims playing, but to start, no. To get a lot of minutes, no. But again, he has to, learn as he, get more reps. But I'm totally, fine with iHeart's play. But I saw this article, how Barrett, he thanked the fans and he said, when he got there, the Knicks wasn't so great and he left them, better than, where they at, what's your take on that? So, yeah, he did couldn't make contributions. I get it, but though eh, when you read it to it, make it seem like, well, yeah, I left them better than where they're at now. Again, he made a contribution, but what's your take on that? And what he said.
Yeah, I agree. I think he made a contribution to the team, but I don't think that Barrett brought the team to another level, like we were talking about earlier in this episode. I don't think that the Knicks are a better team. I don't think they were better with him there. I think without him they look better. Yes, we saw that. And not just because OG, but I think that because RJ needs the ball in his hands and somehow he couldn't find his rhythm within the team, he struggled to find his own path playing with alongside both Brunson and Randall. There was a lot of games where I used to watch where RJ looked like he was trying to figure out, like, should I get the ball in my hands? Should I go and take the rock and go to work? He just never was able to really implement himself on a consistent basis as a New York Knick. He had games where he did well and he started off hot for once in his career as a Knick. He started off strong. He gave us a strong start. But the problem with RJ, he was very hot and cold. He would be great for us 1 or 2 months, and then he had another month or two where he went cold, and we were looking for him. And his points and stuff did go down. He was averaging. I remember somebody was saying that to us in the chat that RJ was scoring, averaging like 20 points a game. I was like, no. After that headache, the migraines, and the tweaked knee, he was giving you around 15, if 13 to 15 points a night. And there was some games where he only gave you about 9. His numbers were looking like Quentin Grimes. So I think that RJ, while he helped out while he was a Knick, I just don't think that there was any more to it, that he was a huge contributing factor, that he made this team a way better team, because it's proven that since he's been going, the team has played better. I just don't think that he was a fit on his team with Tibbs at the as the head coach and playing alongside both Randall and Brunson. I think that being home may be a better fit for him and he can play and shine out there in Toronto. But I just think as the Knicks, we kept looking for RJ to take that next leap. He never took that next leap in his game. And I think that, yeah, I don't think he made the team better though. It's not like we were like, damn, they should have kept him. The team was better with him. I never looked at it like that. I mean, kudos to him for thinking the fans. He was here for a long time, but RJ just he wasn't a fit here. And I would have said that even if he was still on the team. He was way too inconsistent for me. Way too inconsistent. And that's one of the problems that I have with a lot of players, who some of the players still on the Knicks team, like Quentin Grimes. He's too inconsistent for me. One game you give us 17, the next game you give us 6. Next game you may give us 4, the next game you give us, 18, 19 points. It's the consistency for me. And I don't like that up and down consistency with players.
Yeah, for sure.
To die for said if we had a facilitator at the point guard spot, Sims would be the man. So you don't think Jalen Brunson is a facilitator? I think he is.
Yeah,
I just think that Sims needs to work on his game offensively because right now, if you ask me, Sims looks like Mitch.
yeah,
He's
I said that before. Yeah, and so,
oh,
someone even said it. A Paris Duggar. Ihart didn't play well until the end of last season. Now he's on his way. Sims can rebound, set picks, and lob threat enough to do enough for 10 minutes a game. But again, Sims is like a mini Mitch.
yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like guys like to get on Jalen Brunson for not being a facilitator or saying that he shoots too much or he doesn't pass enough. I know you were talking about before how you felt like I don't know if it was the Dallas game. I think it was the Dallas game. You were saying, or I don't know if it was Memphis, the last game. You were saying you felt like Obi wasn't involved enough and he wasn't getting the ball enough. Now that's a different story. But I think when you're talking about Sims, that was the wasn't that the complaint a lot of Knicks fans had about Mitch? They felt like Mitch wasn't getting the ball enough. Remember, a lot of people in the chat were saying, "Oh, nobody passes the ball to Mitch." Now, I thought there were games where Mitch would be wide open and we would miss him on the lob, or we wasn't feeding him the ball enough. I will go with that. But part of the problem of why guys like Mitch or Sims is not going to get the ball enough is because they're only good for those offensive and defensive rebounds and blocks and setting screens. And not to say you shouldn't feed the big man, right, and reward them for their efforts on the other things that they're doing. But when those guys don't have an offensive game, how do you expect a point guard to just pass it to them when they can't even give you a simple hook shot, a simple floater? All they can do is just dunk the ball. So why would I pass you the ball a lot throughout the game? If I'm running the point, I may dish it off to you if I drive in the lane to get my man off of me and dish it to you and pass you a nice quick pass. But I'm not going to feed you the ball a lot because you're not going to be able to do much with it. Mitch is afraid to even dribble the ball. He looks like he's afraid to travel.
AJ. Let's be frank. OG so far is looking mad inconsistent. So he is. Um, but to me, I don't know. I know he's supposed to, get off the dribble, but I don't know. He's not involved as much. I know it's like a spurt. Yeah, he's looking inconsistent. But I wonder what is that? What do you think that's attributing to?
I think part of it is, I think it's the way the Knicks play. I think it's the offense because one of my worries with OG is that I don't want him to fall into that category like RJ Barrett, where you're trying to find your lane within the team and find your role, right? But you're trying to be able to implement your version of offense into the game. And I don't want that to happen with OG. I don't want him to be looking for where can he implement his style of game next to both Brunson and Randall. And then he's holding back or only going in when you know what I mean? Like I don't want him to do that. But I think also right now too, because the Knicks are still trying to find their identity, they have to get OG involved and get him the touches. Yes, but this is a complaint with Quentin Grimes. He felt like he wasn't getting enough touches, and I know people in the chat were saying the same thing about Grimes. Oh, he's not getting enough touches. They don't pass him the ball enough. I think if the Knicks get back to moving that ball well, right, and they can consistently do that, OG's gonna get the touches. But when they don't do that, and the offense is not fluidly moving, and guys are not moving, I don't think that OG is going to get the touches and he's going to look. I think, and then sometimes when he gets the ball, he's going to be indecisive about what move he wants to make. If she should shoot it, and he may end up passing it, because sometimes we see that with Josh Hart too. He'll rather pass than go for the three. And when he does shoot the three, a lot of times he's successful and he makes it, right? But I just think that if the Knicks are not moving the ball and guys are moving on the offense, I don't think OG is going to get those touches
Yeah,
that,
but this is what yeah. Past OG looks like a superior defender. That's why we're 6-1 with him. Agreed. Mm.
yeah, I don't think OG's out there for offense. I don't think they got him mainly for the offense. He is more of a defensive presence of a player, but he can be a contributing factor on the offense. And I know it's just certain times on offense I mean, sometimes for me, I don't see him getting as many touches as he should, but I get it's still early to me. I mean, let's see how they play with these next stretch of games, the home games that they have, and I want to see how the Knicks play through those games, and also monitoring McBride and Grimes because I want to see and Flynn, I want to see how those guys play in these next upcoming games, and see how they roll, with that.
I'll just read this that one.
He said, "Oh, I guess y'all haven't heard." Randall traded this offseason for this guy, for that guy. For who?
To my OG.
I mean, I like OG on the team.
Yeah, he was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, Jalen Brunson is a scorer. He's more of a scorer type of point guard. But I think he can be a passer too. But I do agree 100%. He is more of a scoring point guard than he is a facilitator. Um, but sometimes I wonder, is that because we don't really have guys who he trusts enough to pass the ball to?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, is he doesn't does he not pass the ball a lot because he doesn't trust giving it to Grimes and McBride enough that they're gonna make? I mean, I think he sees it like with McBride, and I think you know what? I think Brunson being out, that was nice for him to sit on the bench to be able to watch what the team is doing. Not for nothing, I thought that was a good game. Yeah, the Knicks won. It was a sloppy, ugly game, but I think it was good for him to be able to sit down and watch the game with him not being in it to see what the team is doing and what they're not doing. And I think that maybe that could gave him a little bit more perspective, like seeing what McBride could do. Like, oh, okay, I could pass him the rock. He could knock down a three.
Well, he said, McBride said he's learned a lot from Brunson. So, yeah.
Right. So, I mean, stop looking for defensive players to be offensive players. Defense is why we're winning now. Yeah, defense, but also the Knicks are moving the ball better.
And
The
he was
offense
referring
doesn't.
to the comment you made about OG about the
Yeah,
scoring.
yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, he's playing he's playing his role. This is what they brought him in here for. It wasn't so much as his scoring, it was more defensive minded. So, but I just, like when they do both. Score and play defense. Is that
exactly.
too much to ask?
Salute King Ribby RM. He said he doesn't trust them. He only trusts his Villanova guys. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. I mean, Ajay said moving the ball, yes, but also hitting the shots. Yeah, but I think the ball movement helps the Knicks knock down the shots versus guys a shot, taking a shot after one or two passes, which is what the Knicks were known for. But I think where the Knicks can't allow themselves to get in a trap is when they settle for the threes. Because against Memphis, they were shooting too many threes. You didn't need that. The Knicks have
Yeah,
to learn that if the threes are not going down, I'm not saying to stop completely shooting the threes, but you got to learn how to take the ball in, get in the paint. You know what I mean? Get the other teams in foul trouble. And if they don't do that, I don't know why the Knicks don't capitalize on that and get teams in foul trouble early in the game, and get themselves to the free throw line. I wish the Knicks would learn how to do that and get teams in foul trouble You know, if you move the ball and don't hit shots, you ain't winning. This is true. But if you can't, I agree. The Knicks need to be able to knock down the shots because you're not winning the game without it. But I think that also, if even if it's a mid range, right, and the mid range jumpers are not going in, at what point do you say, okay, we're not knocking down the shots? You got to keep shooting them, yes, but you got to take the ball inside. Don't be scared to take the ball, down the lane and try to go for the layup and try to get foul trying. Even if you can't get it and get the and one, try get fouled while trying. And I don't
Yeah,
see the Knicks doing that enough. They don't take the ball inside if they're not hitting mid range because sometimes it's not even a three. Sometimes it's simple mid range shots that the Knicks just can't knock down. Also, like nothing is not going down for them. Do I think they should continue keep shooting? Yes. Sometimes once players start seeing the ball go through the hoop, that confidence will get there, and now guys are start making more shots after that. But I think that at some point, guys got to be able to take it in, and the Knicks sometimes will just settle for just continue to keep shooting. If you tried it two, three possessions in a row and they're not knocking down, okay, now you got to take it in. There was a game like 2 games ago. You and I were talking about how the Knicks had kept getting the rebound. It was like a four possession, and we kept shooting a three, and then finally OG got the ball and just dunked the ball. Like OG, look, he got that look like, yo, yeah, we not making the three. Let me just get it down so we could get the quick basket. I think Randall shot one, maybe Grimes shot another one, someone else shot it. We just could not knock it down, and it was in one possession. What's his name? Isaiah Hartenstein kept like tapping the ball out, and nobody could knock down the basket. So I think sometimes the Knicks got to learn to take the ball in and try to get the foul if you can. He said, "Nah, we want to bail out teams and shoot jumpers too much versus going to the basket." Yeah, that's the problem. The Knicks got to learn to take the ball in because I'm telling you, when the playoffs come, remember last year we couldn't knock down the basket against
yeah,
Miami, but the Knicks weren't taking the ball inside. Don't settle if you're not knocking down the shots. Yeah, continue to keep shooting, but in some possessions when you guys have the ball on offense, you got to take the ball in. You can't just keep settling for three pointers and mid range jumpers. It has to be, well, let's try something else and take the ball in and try to get to the free throw line. Maybe even making the free throws will help you seeing the ball go through it to build that confidence for your shots. So how good can you shoot off desperate passes from Randall and Brunson the last 3 seconds? Well, Randall's passes are not that great because they don't, guys have to position themselves wherever the ball is flying towards. Because his passes, I'm never comfortable when Randall throws a pass. I'm literally holding my breath when Randall's throwing the ball to a player. I don't care who it is on the Knicks. I am so nervous every time he throws the ball because his passes look real funky. Like they look like they could just get stolen. They look very like middle school, like a kid who's like trying to be fancy and jazz it up. They don't, I don't know why he doesn't know how to pass well or throw a simple pass. I don't like the way his passes are. I'm always very nervous the way he passes the ball to guys, but I don't know. I think that that's something that part of one of the things that the Knicks have to work on. And I think on the opposite end of that is guys knocking down that last second shot with the last 3 seconds, and who can we rely on to make that shot? So we'll see. But yeah, guys, we wanted to come through today and recap that ugly win against Memphis. That was a terrible, terrible game. I mean, I was just like literally shaking my head at the silly mistakes that the Knicks were doing. I mean, they didn't look like a professional team playing against them, but I hope that the Knicks come and clean it up. I hope the Knicks come out with energy, being that it is an early game tomorrow, because sometimes the Knicks will come out flat. And I want to see the Knicks capitalize on these home wins on the court. For me, you have the Knicks your predictions for these this week's upcoming games. The Knicks play the Magic tomorrow. They play again on Wednesday. They play the Rockets. And then so they have a back to back, and then they play Thursday. They play Washington. So they
And
play
and
Orlando
Toronto coming.
Saturday. Yeah. So they
Well, for
play
me,
Toronto.
I'm looking for them to go 4-0.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, these are all beatable teams. I don't see why the Knicks, until you play Denver that on the 25th, I feel like the Knicks should be able to pull out these wins, especially Washington. You should be able to beat them. Toronto, that's a win. The Rockets, that's a win. And Orlando, you need to beat them. They already beat you, but the Knicks should look out for the win. So yeah, I got them. I'm with you, 4-0 on the record for this week.
Yeah, yeah. Although, but Washington, well, they just won their they won their last game, but still, you can't just sleep on
Who
no
did they
team.
beat?
But, um, yeah, who did Washington beat? Yeah, I can't. It was it was a no, I think it was a 500 team. I can't remember offhand. Um, oh, they beat Atlanta, so.
Oh, okay.
Mine is not exactly 500, but it
Right,
might be on the cusp. But they
right,
but they beat them nevertheless. So but
right.
that's another team they're trying to rebuild. But hey, I still have them going 4-0.
Yeah, same. I definitely have them because these are all beatable teams and teams that the Knicks should be beating. So far, the Knicks have done a good job this season of beating the teams that they should be beating. So yeah, I want to see the Knicks capitalize and win these next four games and get a nice little um lead within the Eastern Conference with these wins, especially this month. But yeah, anything else for you before we get out of here?
No, I'm looking for them again to go 4-0.
Yeah,
Nothing less.
yeah, same. Salute to the chat today. Salute to Eddie. Salute to King Ribby. Salute to Shaw Powers. Salute to Wonder Woman. Who else we got? Salute to
Harris,
Die For. Salute to Kareem Grant. Salute to Parish Duggar. Salute to Ajay. Salute to Coach Sar 617. And
we
I
got
think
AJ.
I said Ajay.
Okay, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Salute to Big Chino. What's up, Big Chino? Salute to all the new subscribers too. We see you guys coming in, everybody joining us. Salute to the replay game. Yeah, I believe that's everybody for today. We really appreciate everybody joining us in the chat today. Hit that like button before you guys exit. To all the new watchers out there, thanks for watching us today and checking out our latest videos. I'm hearing what we have to say. Hit the subscribe button. We do a lot of pre-game, post-game coverage. We also on Dope Soul Sports and Knicks Talk Women's Monthly panel. And sometimes you'll see us be a guest on some of the other channels as well under the Nothing But Knicks channel on YouTube, which is pretty huge, by the creator Simeon Russell. And salute to everybody else out there and all the other content creators who speak all things Knicks. There's so many of them out there, but to choose to watch us, we greatly appreciate it. And for you guys showing us the love. Salute King Census 718 popping in. Salute. But again, we appreciate you guys for joining us and showing love and support to our channel and helping our channel grow. We really appreciate you guys leaving us the comments and chatting with us. It makes it fun going through each episode with us. So shout out to everybody and all of you guys for joining us. And yeah, we will be having guests starting the new year and having some guests on with us. So stay tuned for that. Anything
Oh, and
else?
don't forget to vote.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's still time to vote. It's not too late to throw in your casting your votes for the All-Star game this year. We definitely want to get both Randall and Brunson in the All-Star. I know the votes for New York were definitely low, so go vote. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything. It's free, and I know some days count as three votes. One vote counts as three, so definitely take advantage and go out and vote. And yeah, that's it for us today. So everybody enjoy for those of you who may have off tomorrow for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, enjoy your day off. Remember why we have the day off and watch the Knicks game. Let's talk about it. Let's digest it. We hope the Knicks get a W. And until next time, as we always say, we out. Peace.
Peace.